Hello and welcome back. I know it has been a hot minute since I last did my YouTube. I was a little bit busy having my fifth baby, and now I'm finally easing back into getting online and sharing on social media. It has been a crazy whirlwind these past 3 months. It has been 3 months almost exactly to the day since I gave birth, but I am officially ready to ease back into all things social media. And today I wanted to just kind of go back to basics and talk about if and when you are ready to run ads, right? So ultimately, this video is going to really be about whether or not your med spa or your medical practice, your clinic is ready to run ads and the telltale signs of if you're ready to run ads versus if you're not ready to run ads. So if you're a med spa owner and you're thinking, I'll just run some ads and get clients pouring in, I really do need you to hear this before you spend a single dollar. I have run Facebook ads for med spas for over 12 years now, and I can tell you almost exactly which accounts are going to succeed before we even launch. And it has almost nothing to do with the ad creative. I mean, it does a little bit have to do with the ad creative because that's important, of course, and the ad copy. But the most important thing overall, by far, for every single one of my clients, the ones that have been the most successful are the ones that are actually ready. And I'm going to go into what that means in a second, but I'm going to break down the exact checklist that I use with my clients and when I get on discovery calls with clients to know if they're ready to run ads. And the two biggest signs that tell me someone is going to burn money instead of be successful. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you my checklist, my ultimate checklist for whether you're ready or not to run ads and whether you're going to make money or whether you're going to burn money. So here's the myth that ads create demand out of thin air, and they really don't. Ads amplify what is already working. I have said this a million times. This is the hill I'll die on. If your offer, your close rate, your follow-up, if none of those things are dialed in, ads are just going to help you find out faster and more expensively that something is broken and something is not working. But I know deep down, as a business owner, as a med spa owner, as the head injector, as the sole provider, whoever you are, that deep down you know if something is amiss, okay, in your business. Throwing money at it doesn't work if you're not ready on the back end. So the first thing I do look at, do you already have an organic marketing presence that's bringing in leads? So it doesn't just have to be organic content. Obviously, that's helpful if you're running ads, but organic in any way, right? So in traditional media, and I'm not talking about just going viral. If you're going viral in California and your practice is in New York, that doesn't really match up, right? I need proof that when people see your content or hear about you, they book with you, and they don't just book with you, but they come in, they book with you, they actually show up, they buy from you, and then they return to you, okay? Why does this matter so much? Because ads are a megaphone, okay? They're not a magic wand. I know that a lot of times people might have this feeling that ads are this magic wand that once you put enough money in, you get enough money out. That's just not true. If your Instagram or your referral process or your marketing, your traditional marketing is already bringing people in for consults and then making them buy, right? Ads are just going to mean that more people hear the message that you have that's already working. Okay. If nobody's booking off your organic content or your organic marketing as a whole, running ads just means you're paying to broadcast an offer or a funnel process that hasn't been proven yet. Okay. I had this issue with a client before. We ran ads for a couple weeks and I noticed things weren't converting, but the ads were bringing leads in and bringing bookings in, but they weren't converting on the back end. That is a back end issue. So if you can, highly recommend getting your staff trained to close sales. That is going to pay time and time again, over and over again, an incredible amount. Okay. So yes, of course, putting your offer out there and increasing your visibility is critical, but it's also critical to make sure you have the staff that can support that volume of people and that can close those people. Okay. The criteria at number two is a team that leads me to my next talking point, which is a team that can close. Okay. So the second thing is the one thing that trips up almost everyone is that you need a team that's responsive. It can actually close the leads once they come in. I have a client who I've been working with for 6 years now. When she left her last practice and opened her practice where she's the sole provider, she did not miss a beat. From the point of opening her practice in November to January, when she got everything up and running, she was bringing in 30 to 80 new clients a month because her team can close, because every single person on that team knows what they're doing, has had closing training. They know how to make it the sale. They know how to book people. Okay. I can't tell you how many times a client has come to me and they're convinced that the ads aren't working. But when we dig in and we look at the metrics, the ads are doing their job. On the front end, traffic is coming in. That is the point of ads, right? Visibility and traffic. It is your funnel's job and your team's job to book those people. A lot of the time, the problem is that no one's responding within the first hour, or the intake process has friction, or follow-up just isn't happening, okay? That's not an ads problem. That's a business operations problem wearing an ads costume. If you're the only one answering DMs and calls between client appointments, you are the bottleneck, and you need to hire somebody that is a sales expert or that is trained in closing. And again, ads are going to expose that bottleneck fast. So it's really going to feel like the ads are failing when it has nothing to do with the ads. It has everything to do with the follow-up. So the fail isn't in the ads, the fail is in the follow-up. And I have another graphic here I wanted to share with you guys. This is really where the leads go to die. The lead comes in, they express interest via DM or call. So the lead reaches out in some way. A lot of my clients run DM ads. Some of my clients do call ads. Both are fine. Just depends on where your sales team is focused on. And the follow-up, most leads get lost right here in that follow-up. And then of course the booking close. So this right here is where we have the issue with most clients when they come to me and they're like, my ads aren't working. I've run ads with multiple agencies. If that's the problem, then that's something you need to really invest some money in to have your team do sales training to close those leads. Okay. The ad did do its job. It brought the lead in, but the gap is usually here. It's not the creative. It's not the copy. It's the funnel. Okay. That's so critical. I want to talk a little bit about the offer and the price point already proven. That's pretty self-explanatory, to be honest, because typically if you are ready, you have multiple offers or one main offer that people cannot get enough of. They book it every couple months. They're obsessed with it. That's your main money driver. And that's what people are booking for. That's what people are referring their friends for, right? So if you are known for lip filler, if you are known for Botox, if you are known for this specific glow facial, and that's what's driving customers in, that's the offer that you want to be running ads to. Same with the price point. You know, if people are paying it at that price and it's a good price and you're comfortable with it, it's a premium price and you're giving them a premium experience, then keep that going. Just run ads to that offer. Another thing I know if you're ready to run ads is if your business can sustain 2 to 4 weeks before judging the results. So often with actually, I think almost every one of my clients at the beginning, we run ads for the first couple weeks and there is a dip in between weeks 2 and 4 is normal. And if your business can't sustain that dip and you feel like, oh, I have to pull the plug, like I'm super stressed by this, that it is an indicator to me that you're not ready to run ads. This is what a typical month or campaign looks like. You launch and the first couple weeks, you have really strong performance out the gate because you're hitting that warm audience first, right? The audience who's already following you, who's been on your website, right? You're hitting those people who are most interested in you. But then right around weeks 2 to 4, if you can see like these 2 dots here, performance dips. This is so normal. This is Facebook's algorithm shifting off of that initial warm audience and starting to optimize toward people who are a little bit colder, who take more touches to convert, who need to understand the value versus the price point, right? This is exactly the point where most med spa owners, sole providers, med spa marketing teams, internal, panic, and then they kill the campaign because they see the dip and they assume the ad stopped working and they pull the budget right before the recovery. But if you hold through it, the algorithm is going to find people that are going to book with you. And this obviously depends on each med spa, like where you're located. I have a client in rural upstate New York, and they are a luxury practice, but they pull a lot of clients from different areas. They pull a lot of patients from different areas, like New York City, Syracuse, Rochester, Buffalo. But that rural audience is the algorithm's constantly trying to push ads to the rural audience, and things fatigue very quickly because it's a smaller audience. And there's a lot of education that has to go on with a rural audience when it comes to like PRP and HRT and things like that. So we have constantly got to update the creative. So that's something to keep in mind, right? Keep in mind your audience, something to understand, but your med spa needs to be able to sustain those slower weeks where there's time for testing, especially if you're in an area that requires that, right? Like this client I was talking about in rural upstate New York. I have another client who's a medical weight loss clinic in Tampa who has never had a slowdown. We've run her ads for 3 years now, and her ads have been gangbusters. To this day, July, which is usually a slow month, she had 31 new patient bookings in July alone from our ads. It doesn't always happen, but it can happen. And your business needs to be able to sustain that. And you shouldn't be freaking out if you find that, oh my gosh, the ads have like dipped. No, you just re-strategize, you add more creatives, you look at everything, the funnel process, and you see where you can improve. So let's flip things. Here's how you know you're not ready to run ads. You are hoping that ads will save a slow month. That is panic spending and it rarely works, okay? I do not recommend this. I've had clients who've done this and I've actually let them go because I cannot take the panic of it, or I've not hired them at all. I've not brought them onto the agency at all. Ads are not going to save a slow month. Ads are not going to save a dying business or a business where you refuse to change. I've had multiple discovery calls with potential clients where they've said, I've spent thousands on credit cards with agencies and I just can't figure out why the ads aren't working. And it turns out the ads were working. It's just they weren't doing what they needed to do on their end and they were being really stubborn about listening to their ads experts' advice. If you're having a slow month, I highly recommend you look at everything overall, post more, market more, and typically things will pick back up. You need to really look at your offer, your pricing, your systems, your funnel, like I said, your receptionist, the first touch point of your office. That is one of the most important things in your business is going to be the receptionist because they are the first touch point that patients see. And if your receptionist is amazing and makes people feel like this is a premium experience, they're going to be back, right? They're going to come back time and time again. You're going to close them. But if that's not the case, you need to really look at everything internally as well. Another thing is you don't have anyone, again, I talked about this, answering leads within a few hours. If you're not checking your messages every couple hours, that's a problem. If you have leads coming in and they're reaching out, but they're not responding because you're not responding, you're leaving a ton of money on the table. Another thing that is important to understand is you need to know what are your strongest performers, right? So we had a client, I want to say a year ago, we're still working with them, but they really wanted to push HRT and PRP. And when we looked at their revenue overall, the majority of the revenue was coming from tox and fillers, okay? That is something you want to lean into. If some HRT and PRP is something you want to lean into because it's a higher price point, that's fine, but you can always upsell them once they come in for Botox and filler, okay? If you want to market like straight up HRT and PRP, you have to understand that's going to cost more money because it's a higher price point item. So you have to be ready to spend more, okay? So if the offer has not been sold organically or it's been kind of sold like iffy, there's going to be some education around that offer, especially if it's something like PRP, right? Where people need to like see the results over time. You need to be able to put that money, invest that money into educating people on what that offer looks like and the value that they're getting from that offer. Okay. And, or you just sell it, like I said, on the back end. So again, if you've never sold it organically and you don't know if people want it at that price point, you're going to have to like test it and see. Finally, this, again, I've already covered this, but if you expect instant results and you'll pull the plug the second things dip, this is the pattern I see most often with clients. They get a little stressed and again, performance does tend to dip within that 2 to 4 week window while the algorithm shifts and optimizes because Meta is always making changes. If you're panicking, instead of making changes, making adjustments, you're going to have problems with any agency. Okay, you've got to trust the numbers, trust the data, and trust the history of your account. And again, be okay with making changes. Just when there was one more thing I have here. If nothing converts organically, ads just broadcast that faster. This is one I was going to show you guys earlier, but the organic presence, if it's already converting, ads are going to be your amplifier, not your magic wand. And if things are really converting well, you're going to see more bookings. Okay. So before you spend even $1 on ads, I really want you to ask yourself, is your organic presence already converting? Do you have a team that knows how to close? Even if that team is just you plus one other person, right? Someone who can respond fast and get that person, like pull that person out, communicate the value, and close them to come in where you can then sell to them. If the answer is yes to both of those, you are in a great spot to scale with ads. It's also important, of course, like the booking process, you want that to be seamless. So let's say you have a client, this is my client. If you have a lead that comes in, they send a DM, your team gets back to them and they ask, what's the pricing of this? And you say, well, it varies. You really need to talk to the injector about your goals and your needs and what you want, but we'd love to book you. How's this day or this day? And book them. That's a seamless process, right? It's like lead comes in, you communicate the offer and the value, and you book them, and then they actually show up. That's going to be super important. Or if you have a booking process online where they see your content, go online and book, and then on the back end, the booking like sends them their intake form and all that. Again, a seamless process. You want it to be seamless and quick so they can come in and see you, buy from you. So again, if the answer is yes to all of these things, you're in a good spot. But if the answer is no, this isn't a failure. That's just telling you where you need to focus first. So if you've done marketing and people have come in through marketing, they've sent you DMs, but you haven't been able to book or close them, you need to look at that close process and maybe invest some money in either yourself or your team on how to close. Okay. And if you want help figuring out exactly where you stand, that's literally what I do. Feel free to leave a comment below or send a message on Instagram, Bella Social Marketing, and I would love to chat with you to see if you are ready for ads. Okay. Thanks for tuning in. And I will see you guys hopefully next week for my next video.